Hello friends, welcome back to another Starcraft Broodwar ladder series. We've got ZELOT versus BISU today. We're going to be speedrunning some PvZ. ZELOT, highly aggressive Zerg player, going to open up with a overpool. And we'll be finding out how these two match up before the upcoming SSL. I wonder if ZELOT will make it in this season. He sure has been grinding a lot of ladder. That's why we've had so many games of him recently. Speed too, man. Speed's been grinding up insane amounts of ladder. There's just a few guys out there who every pro is going to match up with if they decide to pop in and play a few games. BISU also been playing a lot recently. Gotta give it to him. Still hungry, even after so many years, so many great years of Starcraft, so many tournament appearances that BISU has had. He's still not had an SSL title or an ASL title. That might be kind of like the cement for his legacy. Maybe something that he is still motivated to try and accomplish. He's going to be opening up Gateway first this game, and 4 lings are going to be sent out initially. 4 lings, the bare minimum to deal with this probe ZELOT combo. We'll see him go up to 6 and maybe even 8 here soon, as the second ZELOT is already out on the map heading this direction. 1 ling sent down to bottom left. With just 3 lings, you can't actually fight this. With 2 lings, you certainly can't do so. He actually sees the second ZELOT, knows what direction it's coming from. It's cross map, so he has a little bit of extra time to pump out lings and deal with this properly. But it's still going to be a little bit tough. The probe has taken some damage. Sniping that first is going to be essential. BISU pulling that in between the ZELOTs to make sure that he can defend it properly. Ready to dive behind these mineral patches the moment that ZELOT gets aggressive. He probably wants to get to that spot right there with the probe in between the 2 ZELOTs. However, ZELOT is just going to pull the trigger on a counter attack. He's going to let this hatchery potentially go down in order to initiate one massive attack over towards his opponent's natural. The cannon has just started. This gateway is under major threat. I never thought about this before, but if you put the forge back like this, it makes it easier to defend against the Hydralisk attack, but it makes it way more vulnerable to these early game lings, and he is taking huge damage on that gateway right now. The ZELOT at the bottom is going to go down. At the same time, the ZELOTs at the top are very low. This cannon is going to be canceled. The 2 ZELOTs that managed to, I think, kill this third base can't really do anything. Even had a sunken colony in the main. You can see how committed he was to just overwhelming BISU in this early game, and he gets a quick win game number 1. I told you guys this was a speed run, so let's jump into game number 2. It's a very fine line you're forced to walk as a Protoss player opening gateway first, and it looks like he may be doing it again. Gateway over at this natural, now on Dominator. ZELOT choosing to open with a 9 hatchery. That is very interesting. 9 hatchery will give you a lot more larva than a traditional 11 or 12 hatchery. You do end up kind of losing out on a bit of production. When you get that 9 hatchery out, you're not able to utilize some of these larvas early on, but you're just going to have the hatchery so much faster. It can be very strong against gateway openers because you're just going to have a lot of potential for lings early in the game. Now, we saw a lot of lings pop out of ZELOT last game, but he can make so many more lings with this 9 hatchery. I don't really play this build too much anymore, but I did mess around with it for a little while, and I can tell you that It deals quite well with an early gateway. The spawning pool comes down quite quickly, and you just have the potential to make so many Zerglings that the Zealot number will just get overwhelmed. And I'm a bit afraid for BISU if he makes the Nexus rather than a Forge now, because you can see there's 3 groups of Lings gonna be turning into 4. Overlord pops, and now he's opened up a bunch of supply to make a ton more Lings. He's going for this one drone, really trying for it. And he sent the Zealot across the map. He's looking for that one drone. Is he gonna get it? Oh, just barely not gonna get that. Barely not gonna get that. That drone is super, super low. 5 HP on it. May loop around and try to go for it once more, but Zealot catches that one probe. And yeah, I'm a bit scared. He's actually going to start a shield battery. Shield battery in the natural, guys. I think we're going to have 3 Zealots, but there are so many Lings coming out. So many Lings. You can just produce an insane number of Lings. He's going to start his 3rd base in a moment. But you can see he's already made a massive glut of Lings, and he's going to push up towards this natural. 4 Zealots is a lot. Plus the shield battery really helps out a massive amount. I think the Zealot takes this fight a little bit too early. No need to keep fighting with those Lings there at the front. Once you're not really overwhelming the Zealots anymore and the Zealots start to overwhelm you, definitely pulling back is the priority. You want to have like 4 Zealots per, or 4 Lings per Zealot before you think about taking a fight when the Zealots are full HP, not to mention having the shield battery as well. I think that Zealot may be losing this game. Cannon is already halfway done, almost finished now. Does take quite a long time to warp in, and as it's finishing, it's still not going to be attacking for quite a while, so he's got a little bit of time. Oh my gosh, this is open on the left-hand side. I had no idea. If you put a Forge there, it's definitely not open, but the shield battery has a different hitbox, I guess. Different size building. And so 4 Lings do make it onto the inside, but Zealot is faltering. He loses 2 of them immediately. And he's trying to re-drone behind this. I don't think this is a build that he is really used to playing with. It doesn't feel very clean from him. If he had waited for the full amount of all of his Lings together before fighting at the natural, if he had combined all of his forces and brought them together to fight, I think he might have had a reasonable chance of killing all the Zealots. But now we've got, you know, 7 Zealots. Some of them with low HP, some of them on full HP, and they're going to be pushing out across the map right now. He killed basically nothing with his early Lings, and now there's a Hydralisk Den that's been scouted. These Zealots are coming over to the 3rd base. I think that Zealot will just tap out when he sees these forces. And he's still got all of his Lings chasing this one probe. This is a sad performance from our Zerg player. He's really mucked this up bad. He's gonna try and use the drones maybe to push the Zealots off for a second, but he's probably gonna end up losing a bunch of them. 2 end up going down, and the hatchery is gonna fall as well. All right, Lings actually forced this back. That was a little bit surprising. I thought he would just commit and kill the hatchery. Killing the hatchery there is basically a free win. Gonna lose the Overlord at the front to that Dragoon. Hydras are pushing everything back, but how are you supposed to win a game that's gone so horribly wrong? More Hydras are popping out, but these Zealots are gonna come in and try to finish off the hatchery potentially. 2 Zealots do a lot of DPS. These Hydras are doing their absolute best to micro this out. 100 HP on that hatchery, 90, 80, 70. Is it finally going to die? 57 HP, and it manages to survive. A Dragoon is on a mission. He's got one goal in mind. Will he be able to snipe this hatchery? He does 20 damage a shot. If he slips in at the right time, he may be able to snipe this hatch. He's hiding it over here on the left side. This is the Navy SEAL of Dragoons. Gonna backstab the enemy right as these Hydras make their way over to the natural. To come in there, snipe that production facility, and probably just win the game straight up. Here he comes. How much health is on this? Only 50 left. 2 more hits and that will die. Boom, he gets it. That is a lot of lost larva, as well as the mining potential from that base. Hydras here at the front are doing their best to fight these Zealots, but pretty soon we're gonna have Zealot speed. Yeah, Zealot speed is about to finish up. As soon as these Zealots come out with speed, I think that's gonna be it. GG should be called here, because that is way too many Zealots, and you actually need to win the game here as Zealot. Zerg player doesn't really have a follow-up beyond this, and GG is called, winning one back. BISU tying up the series. Next up is Deja Vu, and it's looking like another gateway expansion from BISU. Will we get another 9 hatchery? No. Probably an overpool. Gonna be coming from Zealot. I feel like that's his comfort zone. That's the way he likes to play. The 9 hatcheries seemed kind of out of character. Well, maybe not out of character, as it is kind of a cheesy, weird build, but maybe out of his wheelhouse, something that wasn't practiced nearly as much, an opener that was practiced much less by this guy. I haven't seen him really utilize that much before, so he gives it a test. Doesn't really work out. Now he's going to move into his normal play style and get a few lings out here. Try to get that natural up as soon as possible. Reveals the Overlord. Not able to sneak in and get that hatchery, but I've seen Zealot just come and take his third base pretty confidently, rather than his natural a lot. He doesn't really care, it seems like. Between taking his natural and taking the third, he's usually agnostic, doesn't really care. Third base is very close to this gateway, by the way. I have to mention that. That gateway, those gateway units are going to make their way over to the third. Before you know it, that Zealot will be there. He's actually not sent it just yet, but maybe just waiting for the second Zealot before heading that direction. A lot of lings will have to be made, and they've got about the same travel time to the third base as the Zealots do to his third, so it's a little bit rough. Zealot, however, will have a very quick rally point to stage a Hydralisk bust if that's the way he wants to go, and I imagine that's the way he wants to go. That's pretty much the only style of gameplay that we see from Zealot is Hydra busting in ZVP, aside from Ling all in. Sometimes we do end up getting into a late game if the Hydra bust doesn't fully destroy the Protoss player. He can sometimes go that direction, get into a late game and make it work. He's actually gone for speed, and he's trying to surround one Zealot. Oh, he gets one Zealot surround. That is massive. He has Zergling speed on the way, and a lot more Zerglings are being made. He's trying to puncture a hole in this defense. He gets another great surround on this one Zealot. He will get that other Zealot, I think. No, he jumps on the cannon. Even better. 4 lings are going to make their way in, and I think that BISU is in a lot of trouble. One Zealot can follow these 4 lings, but it can't win this fight unless it finds a trade like that. Blocking some of those lings out. Can he actually save this gateway and keep this cannon alive? It's getting dangerous. The lings in the main are going to rotate back around, start to hit this nexus. There's a second cannon here. Gateway goes down. Probes have been pulled. I'm going to try and take this fight. 2 Zealots die immediately. The probes are going to try and jump on top of everything, but the cannon is immediately focused down. Great control there from Zealot. And another quick win for our aggressive Zerg player, BISU. Gotta be a little tighter with the defense if you want to open gateway first, because Zealot will just do stuff like this to you. Pulling up to game number 3 now. No, game number 4, excuse me. Zealot 2 wins on the board, BISU with 1. Another gateway expansion. BISU favoring this build quite a lot, but he's got to realize that his opponent, no stranger to just smashing out a ton of lings and trying to break you early on. I kind of liked the shield battery play we saw in game number 2. It was interesting. That's not the way I often see Protoss players trying to hold their early lings, but it worked out beautifully. Even with the extra amount of lings that are afforded to a 9-hatch player, wasn't quite able to do it. Wait, did he do 9-hatch again? Oh, he did. He did do 9-hatch again. There it is, the 9-hatch on the way. I guess maybe Zealot just favors this build for Dominator? That's possible, because he did it on this same map previously. And so we'll see him pump out a whole bunch of lings. Let's see if he can right the mistakes of the past. Oh god. Oh god, that drone. There's only 1 hit left on it. Can he run away for long enough to get some more HP on it? Oh my gosh, he's definitely gonna track this down. I don't think there's any way that Zealot can escape his fate. That drone, he gets it. And that is frustrating, and a Zealot is already here. Gonna be slowing down our Zerg even more. Lings finally popping out. He is going to continue that production, but he's lacking on workers for the moment. 2 Zealots heading back home. Another shield battery? It is another shield battery. We're getting a complete repeat of our previous game on Dominator, and I wonder how differently this one's going to end up. Or will we just have the same interaction with Zealot taking a fight with too few lings at the natural and BISU getting the upper hand? I'm gonna pull all these lings together. Get ready to take this fight. That Zealot can actually slip between. The Forge gateway setup like this is tight. Ling tight and Zealot tight, but not with the shield battery. Oh, he almost got surrounded there. Be very careful with those Zealots. Oh my gosh, he gets this full surround. He's gonna kill these 2 Zealots on the top side. There are so many more lings coming behind this. And he's gonna kill 2 Zealots right off the bat. Now can work on this gateway. We've got the cannon started, but he gets this around on the 3rd Zealot. Oh no. BISU falling apart here. And Zealot just gonna overwhelm with lings. This is way too many lings. That Zealot dies and GG is called. There's that 9 hatchery that we were expecting in the previous game. Gives you so much potential for lings. So many lings are able to be made there. You can see how overwhelming that number was. It still wouldn't have mattered much had BISU been able to micro a little bit better, had he not been surrounded on top of the gateway, or with that Zealot that was in between the gateway shield battery. He may have been able to hold in long enough to get these cannons up, but great job by Zealot maneuvering those lings around the Zealots, getting that surround and taking him down. Another quick win for Zealot. Are we gonna have any long games this series? Let's go find out. Okay, BISU, Zealot, let's have a little bit of a truce here. Not with an overpool. BISU, another gateway expansion. I want to see some longer games out of you guys, so let's agree not to all in each other. Well, this is probably the map that is most likely to give us a long game. Radion, big, long distance between these 2 players' naturals. vast distance to travel when thinking about zealots or slowlings. And so the likelihood of getting into a macro game pretty high. However, considering it is zealot we're talking about, the possibility of an early Hydralisk bust is also quite high. Probe going to scout last zealot's base, so he did manage to get his hatchery down without too much trouble. And his third drone will be sent over to his third base. And we'll see how BISU responds. Gonna start a Nexus here and just rely on the 2 Zealot. I believe so. You should know by the timing of these lings that this is most likely an overpool build. We got the gas on the way. One ling gonna try to slip past. It's already taken 1 hit from the Zealot. In fact, the Zealot actually deals 2 hits of damage, 1 for each side blade. Is affected by armor as well. So the lings are just gonna happily head back home, deal with this 1 probe. And he does start that Hydralisk Den. There it is. Hydralisk Den, as expected from Zealot. Trying to track down this probe. Has a pretty decent number of lings, so this is not enough to deal with the 3 Zealots. He's actually going to need another 2 or so pairs of lings. No, 1 on the way, but his hatchery is under threat. Leave 1 ling out to potentially try to stop this probe. Lings popping out here soon. Probably we'll see the Zealots go behind there, and then the probe will head in to confirm the Hydralisk Den. This is a very good technique that we're seeing out of BISU. He's gonna glean the information that he needs while taking a good trade with these lings as well. So he should be sending in the probe pretty soon. A little bit surprised to see him not send it in just yet. Well, a Hydra pops out. That's going to be all the information he needs. We should see him pull a probe over here to start building cannons. You need at least 2 to 3 cannons. Start building them right there. That's a pylon. No rush just yet. He's still got these Zealots to distract a little while longer. And in fact, drones are being made. So just the 1 Hydra to poke the Zealots. And he's gonna switch back into drones. There are 3 Hydras on the way. Maybe he just wants to poke out the wall. That's the vibe I'm getting now. Here comes that probe. Will be driven back. Hydra and lings, definitely enough to do that. 3 more Hydras, 5 more Hydras. Maybe popping soon. And he's looking to poke out this wall. But 4 Zealots, not going to make that easy for him. His range is on the way. But I'm expecting to see a massive wave of drones coming up here any moment. I don't think that he can commit to a Hydra bus. However, you know what? Only 3 at the 3rd base. This is a perfect 9-7-3 setup. Maybe he will just only make Hydras and try to bust this down. But isn't BISU already a little bit too well prepared? Potentially no. But he can start to throw down a lot of cannons. Yeah, he gets this probe back into the natural and he sees more Hydras popping out. I think we'll see like another 3 cannons added on before his gas comes down. He has a second gateway in the main. He's got a Corsair out now. Just harass this Overlord a little bit. Setting up the patented Zealot Hydra bust squad. These are ready. Ling's going to be sent forward first. Zealots come out to defend. Kills 2 cannons immediately. Just that early setup that we saw there. So damn good. The way that he sets those Hydras in one long line, carving down his last few Zealots at the front, but losing a lot of Hydras in the process. Still making only Hydralisks at the moment. Hasn't made any effort to transition. More Zealots are going to be made as well. Has he pulled off fully from gas? No, he has not. We get Zealot speed on the way. 4 cannons are finishing, but he's going to be able to target down one of these potentially. Well, as the Zealots dry out, probes are going to have to be pulled to try and block this. One more Zealot makes its way to the front. Another cannon about to finish. 5 cannons is pretty strong. 5 cannons is a lot. Corsair still looking for some damage over here. Is going to draw some Hydras away from the front. There's not a whole lot left in terms of Hydras at the natural. He flies through. He sees the evolution chamber. Going to be starting his +1 upgrade to match this +1 armor. Or the Protoss. Managed to deny +1 attack, at least on these Zealots. And he will start his lair. Extra hatches being added on. It's interesting the way that Zealot likes to follow this up. I generally see him build all of his hatcheries at the 3rd base. For some odd reason. He'll go 3 hatches here. Never add anything into the natural. And then eventually he'll add a 4th hatchery over at the 3rd. It's just a kind of a unique signature of his Zealot game, is the way that he follows up these Hydralisk busts. Gonna start Lurker upgrade, of course. Speed on these Overlords is a must. Likely we'll see him go for drops coming up here soon as well. Zealots are shoving forward. He's doing his best to pull these back. Hydra's pulling back and targeting down Zealots, but he will have to retreat from this position here soon. He's going to lose 3 Overlords as a result. That is very rough. 3 Overlords right as his Lurker upgrade is finishing. He doesn't have too many Hydras back at home. He can't really produce much. These Zealots shove him all the way back towards his natural. A bunch of Overlords need to pop soon. Because again, he cannot make anything. There's like 4 Overlords in production so that he can finally make Lurkers. And Templar are starting to come out. A lot more gateways on the way. Zealots are pressing the attack. 4th base is coming from Zealot as well. He would love to be making Lurkers right now so he doesn't have to worry about these Zealots. If he has a few Lurkers here and a couple Lurkers there, maybe a couple Lurkers over here as well, then he can go into a massive wave of drones and really start to saturate on 5 bases. He's only at 39 workers at the moment. And so with so few workers, you're hardly even fully saturated on 3 bases, not to mention 4. You really want about 45 workers on 3 bases, 55 on 4. And so the Lurkers are going to buy him that time. They're going to allow him to have a little bit of room, a little bit of leg room to start grabbing some drones and saturating these bases. DT over here at the 3rd, waiting for a transit of drones. And I think that'll be coming here shortly. Ventral Sax is on the way as expected. Overlords. Will they end up heading over to this 3rd so that he can potentially deny this DT? Seems that way. They're headed in that direction. Overlord goes down to this 1 Corsair. How many kills does it have? 3. Quite a successful Corsair. Kind of light containment over this natural. Oh, this DT getting in there. 3 kills will certainly occur at this base. The DT is heading out on the map, but it will be caught. So 3 kills, not the biggest deal for 1 DT. He should be getting into his saturation now. 42 workers. Needs a few more to really get this third base up and online. Can make a huge amount of lurkers and hydras off of 4 base and 4 gases. And we'll see him continue to reinforce this containment. He's unable to make overlords, or unable to make lurkers right now. He has to get these overlords out. There we go. Big round of lurkers. This is actually a great opportunity for BISU to maybe push out. While these lurkers are morphing, he hasn't been able to reinforce this. He's only got 4 lurkers. He really needs to snipe this observer. If BISU is able to get out of here right now and get on top of those lurkers that are morphing, that'll be lights out for Zealot, and this containment will definitely suffer. Lurkers are about to pop. Can he reinforce the containment? He will. Just barely in time. That is a dangerous, dangerous moment for any Zerg trying to contain a Protoss player. Right as you're morphing another wave of lurkers, you get supply blocked like that. Things can go very, very badly. Dragoons are pushing up. We've got some storms coming out. Hydras are reinforcing. Come running forward here and try to target down a couple of Dragoons as he can. Some more drones will be made. +2 is on the way. Ventral Sacs is done. We could see a lurker drop at either mineral line now. But for the moment, he is focused on containment. And Dragoons are being targeted. This is good. Sniping down a few Dragoons. Well, BISU is pushing out and making space for himself. Just coming in from multiple directions. Does BISU have the storm? Great storm there to just push this back. Another awesome storm on the right flank. And Zealot can't really get any closer than this. He's almost broken on this contain. He's not close enough with the lurkers. They can't support each other. These lurkers are a bit too far from these lurkers. And so the BISU Dragoons can clear the left side while the right side really does nothing. He's going to load up. Try to go for a drop as BISU breaks this containment. The drop, how successful will it be? Can he get some lurkers over near the ramp where the probes will be transferring? It doesn't look like it. These lurkers will burrow. There's an observer here already. Oh my god, the probe started to head back. I think that was not BISU's fault. Actually, only losing about 5 probes there. So not the worst in the world. At the same time, Zealots make their way over to the third base. A lot of Hydras have been made to reinforce, but they're not in the right position to deal with this just yet. Hydras will eventually be cleaned up in this main. A bit too much going on for Zealot right now to control that and try to target down Templar. A third base is coming up. This hatchery, oh my god, it survives on 52 HP. That's wild. All the probes have been pulled from the main. Time to saturate this third. It's gonna drop some lurkers and hydras in this main base. He could target Templar Archives. Templar Archives is a great target right now. Oh my gosh, so many hydras up on this high ground. Is he gonna get caught with his pants down? So many hydras up here. If the Templar come and start to layer storms on this, he is gonna be in so much trouble. He's losing some tech back at home, but these hydras are going to get wiped out, I think. We're gonna see some of the best trading you've ever seen. Protoss versus Zerg, because there's nowhere to move. Here we go. No space to run, nowhere to hide. The Hydras are going to get spammed down with these storms. He actually trades out a few Hydras for some Templar. But this is brutal. These Hydras get absolutely wiped, and the third base will be killed. Meanwhile, in the main, Nexus is going to end up going down. Nexus falling is quite a big deal. We're going to lose the opportunity to mine this gas. Hydras making their way over towards this third as well. Looks like Dragoons will catch that on the retreat. Some forces in the middle of the map have been killed as well, and some of these Templar are being tracked down. They don't have energy for Storm. That's quite a big deal as well. If he could have killed this Templar Archives, I think that would have been massive. Hydra's still fighting here in the middle of the map. Killing off a few important Dragoons. One Lurker over here. 9-kill Lurker. Oh my gosh. He got a Lurker onto this third base. Can he get one into this mineral line as well? It's a little bit too low, I think. Not enough HP on that. Catching some probes going in between the bases. This is an insane game now. We're 3 base to basically 2 base for BISU. And there it is. GG is called. He manages to win this game. What? Somehow pulling it out here. ZELOT wins this game. That was some intense action. I thought that with the 4th base going down and BISU getting this 3rd up, that he was going to have a pretty decent shot of winning, but he really wasn't able to stop this attack for so long. His rallies, I don't know what they were doing, but they certainly weren't being rallied into the main to deal with this attack, and he allowed so much of his buildings to go down. He allowed ZELOT to pull him apart with this play. This is what ZELOT does best, is hit you with an early Hydralisk bust and then transition smoothly into 5-hatch Hydra. Get that 4th base online. Drop you all over the place. Continue, drop you again. Just make the game incredibly chaotic. And that's what we saw just now. ZELOT doing his thing. Can we see it again in our next game? That's what I want to see. I don't want to see any more early Ling busts. I want to see more games like this one. Let's go find out. Okay, BISU spawning in bottom right. ZELOT over here in top left. We're on Minstrel. This map has given us so many great games. I would be sad to see it go in the coming season, but it may be so. Minstrel. Not the easiest map to play on, especially for, I think, ZELOT's style. It can kind of go into his favor. A little bit favorable for him when we're talking about just adding chaos into the game. There's so many different lanes for ZELOT to potentially push on and to send units down and get counterattacks going, that sort of thing. But at the same time, it's a little difficult to have your early game units rally properly. For example, if you're have your 3rd base over at center left here, and you're trying to rally Hydras to the natural of your opponent, the rally point from here to here often gets stuck on the mineral patches over near that 3rd base. And so you have to do some fancy tricks to get everything to rally properly. Can be a real pain in the butt for the Hydralisk busting player. And now a 3rd base gonna come up. Overpool build from ZELOT. Gonna match into the gateway first style that BISU has been displaying today. And grab that gas. I bet we're gonna see another Hydralisk bust. If I was a betting man, I would put some money on that. We haven't seen a early layer yet this game. We've seen layer, but we haven't seen very many of them. And only as kind of a follow-up to a Hydralisk bust. No gas being mined. Interesting. He gets the gas, but he doesn't mine it yet. He's building a lot of Lings. He's ready for this ZELOT attack. Very ready indeed. And the Lings are going to surround that probe. Nice job getting rid of the probe now. Frees up all the Lings to go across the map. He is going to start mining the gas now. After pumping out another wave of drones. He's got 8 in the main. 1 in the natural. Starts his Hydralisk den. Another probe out on the map. He wants to get that information badly. He may be able to find his way into the natural and into the main of ZELOT. Gotta be careful here, BISU. We don't want a repeat of previous games. That cannon is almost done. And so coming out against the Lings is not going to be a great idea. Now that there's a cannon back at home now and 4 zealots pushing, probably okay at this point. He actually clicked into the main base of Zealot and that probe got stuck. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes the pathing on this map really does suck. Especially late game Zerg. Can be super frustrating. Ling's going to try to track down that probe once again, but Zealots are making their way into the third. We've seen this situation before. 4 Zealots make their way over to the third base. Start to put a lot of DPS on it. Hydras are going to pop out soon, but he's very intent on getting rid of this probe. He wants to get rid of that probe, and so he eats quite a bit of damage. Not as much as before. Remember that game on Dominator when the Dragoon was able to snipe down the hatchery later on. He managed to get a lot more damage with the Zealots in that game. Hydras are coming to track down these Zealots. They're gonna surround and kill these. They don't have that +1, so the Lings are a great buffer as the Hydras deal their damage. And losing the Lings is not really a problem. He's actually freeing up some supply. Needs another Overlord on the way, actually. This Overlord at the front could be in trouble as the Stargate finishes up and gets this Corsair out on the field. Still no Overlord. Okay, that's weird. No Overlord still. He's going to be supply blocked forever. Finally starts an Overlord after he starts his lair. So definitely a faster transition this time. Out of Zealot, he checked the number of cannons at the front, and I think that's what made him decide on this path. Gonna kill this gateway. And in fact, BISU gonna help him do so. A little bit funny to see that. Just letting him kill it. Lining him up. Gonna get all his Hydras in a row. And just look to snipe the Forge as soon as that speed is done. 8 drones are on the way. So this is not a full-on follow-up, and maybe some of these can be canceled. Yes. He cancels as he sees the drones popping in the natural. 4 cannons will be enough, but it's not going to save this Forge. Forge is going to go down. Should see double Forge in the main. Yes, we will. 1 Ling heading in. Just checking to see how many cannons there are. He sees that number and he starts Lurker Aspect. Gonna get more hatches on the way soon as he pumps up these drone numbers and gets his +1 started. I'm liking Zealot's position. It's not bad at all. He's managed to deal with the early Zealots gracefully. Get these Hydras to the front, kill the wall. And hasn't really lost anything at all. Not a single Overlord has gone down. He's up to that 32 drone count. A 4th base will likely be started soon. Around 35 is really kind of bare minimum on 3 bases to pump non-stop Hydras. So you can actually take the space. So far, not. Just heading along these different angles. But he left nothing back at home. Okay, he's got 1 Hydra on this high ground. He needs to pull that. Push this Corsair back. There's nothing over here to defend the Overlords either. It's quite a lot of Hydras that have been made, and he's going to start to make Lurkers. He forced a lot of cannons out of BISU. Oh, he's going to get a great contain from this. This slowed down the gateway count by a lot. Slowed it down for a long time. And he can't really attack out until speed is done. Lurkers are going to be done by the time Zealot speed is done. So this is a nicely mapped out aggressive Hydra play from Zealot. He got the layer started super fast so that he could get these Lurkers out right away and just prevent these Zealots from ever getting out on the field. He starts his 4th base. That's his 6th hatchery. 6 hatch on 4 bases. And I mean, we're gonna have these Templar out. More lurkers can be made though. And oh, he's actually just gonna run by this. Yeah, it's a smart play. We gotta get out there and do something on the map. Create some sort of threat. It would be better if he could have run this direction, but he definitely would have lost more. Back at home, no lurkers here just yet. 7 Hydras on the way though. Up to 43 drones now and ventral sacks on the way. This is pure Zealot play. This is exactly what he likes to do. This is by the book Zealot. More lurkers out at the front. These Zealots have been spotted. Hydras at the natural should be able to take care of that. Only +1 armor, +1 attack is about to finish as well though. And so this can cause a little bit of a problem, but there's enough Hydras here. If he targets properly, he can win this. These 2 Corsairs being a little bit annoying, drawing a little attention away from for Zealot. He's forced to run Hydras around and chase those. He doesn't have a Spire. And I don't think he's intending to get one either. Shuttle on the way. He's intent on pushing away these Overlords so he can maybe slip a shuttle out on the map. I think we're going to see a drop into the main very soon. And Hydras are already kind of surrounding, as well as Overlords surrounding this base. I don't know how he's going to be able to slip this shuttle out anywhere. He's gonna head along the bottom side. Will this just get instantly shut down? Okay. He's starting to let some Zealots out. They're immediately gonna be spotted. These Zealots make their way back home. 3 still out on the map though. Corsairs heading down to bottom left. There's not a lot of drones at that base. Really hasn't transferred many over yet. A little bit surprised about that. You can get so much more income if you just transfer a few drones out of each mineral line, because 1 per patch gives you a lot more money than having, you know, kind of oversaturation like this and not transferring these down. Is it going to transfer? Not yet. Lurkers here at the front are not being supported by many Hydras. He needs to go for the drop now. As this push comes out, he's going to lose his contain. The drop comes into the main. It's quite a lot of units. We dropped in the back here. He's gonna lose that cannon immediately. Lurkers on the defensive. Oh, and the lurkers over here as well. Trying to get some kills. He's got 1 kill on that, 1 kill on that. So not a lot of damage over at the natural. In the main, I think is going a lot better. Lurkers are starting to get cleared up though. Can he move forward and re-contain this natural before BISU pushes out though? I don't think that's going to be possible. He's not making a move in that direction at least. And he still hasn't transferred drones over here. The mineral smoothing, not the greatest from Zealot. I expected a little bit better. Expected him to be moving those units, moving those drones around and getting the max value. Oh, another drop over here at the natural. Not really getting any probes for his efforts. Is the probe still alive? 46 total probes. Might have gotten a couple kills, but nothing major. Surprised to see him throw that drop in again after the first drop failed so recently. BISU just trying to organize things. He's got a lot of stuff stuck in the main. And get all this stuff out. That 1 pylon is kind of annoying. These 2 Zealots are blocking everything. He's trying to get his stuff to move, but he's having a hard time. Getting a little bit slow. There's the shuttle going down. That shuttle gets picked off. Pretty annoying stuff for BISU to deal with right now. He's got more drops loaded up and ready to go, but this army is coming out. Run, drops, run. Okay, he does pull back the drops, but the 3 lurkers run up and just die for free. That is not good. Can he actually defend bottom left? He's got hardly anything over here. Gonna have to move all of his army to get into a defensive spot there. And dropping out these lurkers is a must. This is BISU just a little bit too quick to move into position. And Zealot was not ready for this. A big storm right on top of all this chunk of units. is going to be nasty. Oh my gosh, he's eating so much damage as he runs into the defense here. The Dragoon number is still quite high. There's a lot of Templar pushing in. He's going to bring tons of Hydras down, but he's getting stuck. Oh no, he's getting his whole army stuck. Look at all these Lurkers and Hydras that can't make their way to defend this base. The 4th is going to go down, and he's finally realized that he's going to move his army around. Oh, I think this is looking like a BISU victory at this point. This is really frustrating stuff to deal with as a Zerg player. I've definitely been here. I've been in this position before. He was going for Hive. He was trying to get into Hive. You never see this type of style from Zealot, and I think we just saw why. He's struggling to make this transition. He does have, 44 drones, but he never got up to that big, like 55 drones with those 4 gases and 4 bases. Someone like Action might be able to give us a better game in a scenario like this, but Zealot is struggling. He is being pushed to his limit. Has another containment of Lurkers over here. Over on the top side of BISU's base, but just pure Dragoon play. A couple of storms here and there will clear out everything. This is some awesome army movement from BISU. It's so tough to get your army to move out of your main base when you've been dealing with drops in the early mid-game. See how hard it was for him to just get back to defend that and then get back out on the map. But he moved quite swiftly, swifter than Zealot expected. Ended up catching a bunch of Lurkers in transition. Now Zealot trying to take multiple bases on the map. I don't think that's going to work. If BISU has anything to say about it, he's going to move this army into a position that Zealot is not capable of dealing with. He sees this hatchery over here and may loop some Zealots around to start harassing that while taking his own 4th and pushing into this difficult position. Can loop around now. This is the problem as Zerg on this map. Protoss can come and threaten a bust at one location and then very quickly move and threaten another location, and then very quickly move and threaten another location. And the Zerg player it's incumbent upon them to quickly move their forces to defend each spot and meet the army head on, which can be very difficult to do in a situation like this where you've already been damaged, you've already been hurt, your army is smaller. You have to bring everything together to challenge the Protoss army. BISU is getting super far ahead now with his 4th base going down. 177 supply, whereas we got Zealot supply blocked and stuck. He does, however, have Hive. That's a very important part of this equation. He does not have anything watching this army. This could be really painful if he's got everything defending over here and suddenly BISU's army shows up in a spot he wasn't expecting, like this location. Looks like he will show up here, start to kill these eggs, denying a bunch of Lurkers, and the defensive position over at this base is going to be cracked wide open. These drones have to run, they have to evacuate. Can evacuate down to bottom left. That's a location that has never really been mined from appropriately. Lings, I think, do have crack upgrade now, but their other upgrades are sadly suffering. +1 armor only. +1 attack, +2 armor is going to come online soon. Let's take a look at the Protoss player. +3 attack on the way, but only +2 attack for now. +2 armor as well. +1 shields, +2 shields on the way. But in a moment here, we're going to have Lings with equal armor to the Zealot attack, which means the Lings will do quite a bit better. It's just difficult to say whether Zealot will have the mass of army for that to actually matter. A lot of the time there's just so much Protoss. Oh god, he's trying to get through there. Protoss having a struggle trying to get past this mineral patch as well, trying to get up to the top corner. All these dragoons kind of bugging out. It's going to take a long time to make those move. And I think that we're going to have lurkers, defilers, and dark swarm ready for when that army finally does make its way to the right position. And those couple sunken colonies defending that area well. BISU's just going to give up on that. He's like, man, these dragoons just will not move through that area. We're going to have to go for a different angle. Army moving from the south. Does not have an overlord with this. Overlord's a little bit far away. Sometimes it can be really slick to just send in the DT and try to kill the defiler. It's a great assassination. Kill that defiler, you can really put a damper on any sort of attack in this area. My god, look at all those Templar. What? That's 10 Templar. Back over here. Pushing it back. Zealot once again. He's trying to expand to the bottom side. DT in the mix. Overlord can be sent forward. Didn't go after the defiler. Gonna instead get a couple lurkers and some hydras. The space is being denied, and this space is being harassed at the same time. What is Zealot to do in a situation like this? Well, he's gonna save this base, I suppose. Maybe just barely. Ooh, running into some massive storms. You see these Templar have just been building up so much energy this whole time. Great plague there, finally first plague of the game. Second plague is amazing as well. Nice job with those plagues. Gonna really damage those dragoons a lot, but I think this hatchery is dead. The hatchery is going down. Might want to expand over here. Get that little bit of extra mineral income going. Casting a few storms, that's great. We've got all these Templar with full energy. First storm, might as well start casting a few storms, trading out some units, and making Archons. The Archon army late game is so good. Oh god. Not paying attention to this. Is he gonna save it? He does just barely save 12. That is wild. That hatch spawns with 82 HP. Dark Swarms. Some Ling's gonna get in here. Of course, Storms will deal with most of that, and Zealots will deal with everything the Storms could not. +3 is done. So that advantage of having equal carapace to the attack is no longer relevant and won't be for a little while. More Lings making their way in. It's actually making some progress here despite all the storms that were available. And the army that's coming back to defend this is actually managing to hold on to this base, utilizing quite a bit of his army to try and push in here. Zealot not making any progress. Only killing off a few cannons, but he's causing a distraction that's allowing him to get further bases online. That's kind of important. He's bringing up some more units and getting some sunken colonies ready to defend bottom center. Top center looking a little weak, but the army is not focused on that area just yet. In fact, Lurker's running forward. Uh-oh, Lurkers need to get out of here. Lurker's gonna back away from this spot. Looks like he might have had a rally over to the back of the mineral patches for BISU, hoping to break through that area, but he's actually gonna have to fall back to a better defensive position. Right now, he's stuck between defending here, defending there, and defending here at the same time. He's got so much to worry about, and if this these eggs are killed, then you'll have to worry about defending here and here as well. This is a very big struggle for Zerg on this map. He's going to try and create a distraction in a different location. He is going to go for these eggs. Yeah, see, this is so tough to deal with. You're going to have to defend here as well. There. The army just moves through, and boom. Zealot has no idea that he's about to get attacked on multiple fronts at the same time. Darkstorm comes down, but it's not going to be very helpful in a situation like this. He's got overlords to at least get rid of these DTs, but his Nidus Canal is taking some damage. He doesn't have forces to save this. He could bring the army back from this side to potentially save, but he's going to use Dark Swarm and Lurkers to attempt to hold on. I don't see any Zealots in this force, but there's too many storms. Everything dies. And Zealot having a very hard time now keeping this base alive. That will go down. Archons in very high number. They are eventually going to get surrounded, I think, and should be wiped out, but dropping down to just 100 supply. Zealot struggling. Look at all the lurkers over on this right-hand side that were not brought up to help defend. That might be the mistake of this game. Pushing into top right, but there's Reavers ready, and this base is going to be under threat. At least move the lurkers to the left-hand side to hopefully save this hatchery. But now what is he defending? What is he defending with all of these lurkers? Absolutely nothing. The drones are going to get targeted. He's finally going to move the lurkers, but you can't run lurkers forward to defend. You need them to already be in position as everything comes up to attack. Oh my god, so many kills. 25 kill High Templar there. Do you guys see that? 25 kills. Storm is a good unit, guys. Storm is a real good unit. Hydras, of course, get immediately smashed by that storm. More defenses over at top center. This is such a tough game for Zerg now, as the army just roams around looking for weak points. There's weak points everywhere. There's weak points all over the board for Zerg, and he's still struggling to transfer units between these bases. This is a weak point. Drop a Reaver over here and just gun this down. That is a nightmare waiting to happen. Shuttle's gonna push forward as this army continues to roam. Now Reavers are in play, and they're gonna start to gun down some of these lurkers on defense. As soon as the lurkers die, this base will be broken wide open. Meanwhile, he's trying to clear the army down at the bottom area of the map, but he just doesn't have the forces to finish that off. More units are gonna spawn. He's gonna move forward, clear that, but at the same time 12 is going to fall. I guess he can resecure this bottom left-hand corner, maybe get this base online too. If he defends there and there, then he should have... Oh my gosh, he's gonna lose this base as well. Oh, Zealot is getting wrapped up. There it is. He loses all of his drones over at this base, and GG is called. Finally, BISU manages to tear Zealot apart. This is not his forte. Playing in the late game, certainly not on Minstrel. Minstrel's so tough, guys. You need a lot of experience, I think, to be able to play a late game ZVP on Minstrel, and that is not something I think that Zealot has in spades. Lots of experience late game. Yeah, those words are unfamiliar to a player such as Zealot, the guy who Ling busted BISU like 4 times this series, or at least attempted 4 times this series. Managed to succeed like 2 or 3 times at least, and Hydra busted in the other games. This is not his forte, as I said. GG, guys. I hope you enjoyed this series. Kind of a fun one. I like watching Zealot play his aggressive style. A little bit of a breath of fresh air in the sea of extremely macro-centric Zerg players that we have at the top level of play these days. You know, the Sulky, the actions, the heroes, that the guys that will take you all the way to late game in the Saxeries, even the guys will try to get to Hive most games and kind of grind you down with those late game styles. Zealot is just a pure aggression player. He will go crazy on you and just try to snap you open at the earliest opportunity, try to break you whenever possible. Guys, GG. See you in the next video.